So before I start this video, I'd like to thank everybody that has subscribed to the channel. I really didn't expect it to get this far, and I'm pretty floored by the response, to be honest. I never really expected these videos to get any views, or as many views as they have. And all the comments have been pretty crazy, to be honest. Both the really supportive ones and, the not so supportive ones. So because of that, in the near future, I will be putting more time into editing these videos. This means that I'll probably actually edit myself, so there won't be much of the rambling or stammering that I usually do. The other thing I'll be introducing in the future is more visual things like pictures, videos, and instead of just my title card that's here now. Anyways, I hope you're all set up for the holidays, and I hope you can pull up a stump with me and get into this video. I know I said I'd be doing a video on Poveglia, the Italian island, but instead, since that's going to take a little more editing, I'm going to do a quicker video on some more Bigfoot sightings that I found that really interested me, because I love reading about this stuff. So I hope you enjoy it too, and if you do, then please like and subscribe. And I guess that's it. Let's get into this. So this first case I'd like to talk about happened in the winter of 2004 on February 9th. This takes place in Heidelberg, Alaska. Now Heidelberg is a small town on the west side of the Prince of Wales Island. Some things to note are this happened at the edge of the town, and the nearest road was Main Street. The incident happened last night, just after 11 p.m. My daughter was home alone as she lives with a relative and happened to be out of town that night. She called me at 11:22 p.m. and was terrified. She said she could hear something walking back and forth right outside her bedroom window, and when she had first heard it, she looked outside, only to find herself met with this big and black thing, in quotes. She described it as being huge, 3 to 4 feet above the bottom of the window. Now we live in a small village of less than 500 people. There are a lot of bushes and trees in between the houses. Their house is close to the beach, and there is a forest surrounding the town. I've never really known my daughter to be afraid of anything like this or make false calls, but last night when I went to pick her up, she was shaking like a leaf and absolutely hysterical. It took me almost an hour to calm her down. I questioned her about what happened. She said she had called me 5 minutes after she initially saw it. She was too scared to move, and when I got down there, I just couldn't bring myself to look behind the house. There was like a sense of dread, of deep anxiety, that was keeping me from doing it. And when I finally did get in the house to find her, she was inside my relative's closet. She said the thing was walking back and forth behind the house. She described the footsteps as the sound that someone very large had been stomping their feet. Now, the daughter is a very down-to-earth person and not really prone to dramatic, but when I first went down there, I didn't really know what was going on, just that my daughter was scared and absolutely terrified. I just know that I was scared too, and I didn't know why. The next day, I did end up going behind the house, and I'm 5'4", and when I peered into the window, my eyes just reached the bottom of the windowsill. So this thing had to be about 7 to 8 feet tall to be that far above the bottom of the window. I questioned a neighbor who lives next door, and she said that she had heard something, but she wasn't too sure what it was, and she couldn't bring herself to check it out either, but she definitely heard her dog barking. As a side note, I am somewhat familiar with some Aboriginal tales on Sasquatch, as we call it in Canada, and one of the things that they can do here, or at least alleged to be able to do, is that they can project a sense of fear and anxiety around them. It's like a defense mechanism almost. So this is what stuck out to me about this case and kind of what reminded me of that story from when I was a kid and heard it. So I hope you liked it, but do you think it was real? Now the following case is a Yeti case, actually, from March 17th, 1988 in Soviet Russia. A Soviet scientist said Wednesday that she came within feet of the legendary abominable snowman during an eyeball-to-eyeball encounter with the furry beast in snow-covered forests of western Siberia. Radio Moscow described it as one of the closest encounters of its kind. The creature reportedly stood and stared at her with red eyes, not making a sound, before her pet dog chased the snowman, or Yeti, deep back into the woods. The scientist, Maya Bakova, told Radio Moscow that she had spent 25 years studying the Yeti. Her study occurred late in the year when Soviet media reported 3 Yeti encounters. Bakova and 2 guides had stopped for the night in a forest cabin at an undisclosed site in western Siberia and were awakened by the sound of rolling logs. They said they rushed out to the porch and saw the creature they had waited so long to see. Quote, "The day was breaking and we could see everything clearly. I saw in front of me an animal about 2 meters tall, which is about 6'7", covered with fur some 6 to 7 centimeters, 2.5 to 3 inches long," Bakova said. "It was covered with so much fur that its lips looked like slits. The fur on its head and face was shorter than that on its body. The creature studied us with great attention. The eyes were red without any whites, and its ears did not stick out," she said. Radio Moscow said there had been an estimated 5,000 eyewitness accounts of Yeti sightings in the Soviet Union, mostly by peasants, drivers, shepherds, and other rural people. The sightings have been reported in the Caucasus region, the Altai district of south-central Siberia, and the northeastern Yakutia area. Bakova said that she had prepared herself for such an encounter so that she could see a, quote, "very good look at the creature and examine it thoroughly. There was a distance of 5 meters, or 16 feet, between us." She noted that it was not difficult to measure the biped's height because it was standing against a tree. And last month, relative to the story, the leader of the Soviet scientific expedition, Igor Tatsy, told the official TASS News that one of the creatures had repeatedly tried to make friendly contact with his research team in the Pamir Mountains near the border with Afghanistan. I found the end to that story very interesting because since it tried to make friendly contact with them, it makes you wonder how intelligent they are, especially if they are not like other animals and don't really see us as a threat, but more as like a specimen, like we're almost interested to them. Maybe they find us attractive, you know? It's really hard to say because I guess not much has been put into really communicating with them. Any show I've seen, any expedition I've seen, they usually use screams or mating calls. So I don't know how else you'd go about that, but I feel like that there's probably some way that you could actually communicate with them that we just haven't found yet. Anyways, what do you think of the story? The last case for tonight happened in the summer of 2003 on August 16th. Now this was near the town of Blaine, Kentucky, which is in Lawrence County. Now I've only ever told this to my wife, but I had a strange experience around the area of Blaine, Kentucky. In 2003, my wife and I took our daughter and youngest son with our travel trailer to camp in Yatesville Lake State Park in Lawrence County, Kentucky, which is near Blaine. We arrived on a Friday in August with the intent of fishing, and I always go on ginseng hunts when I'm able to. I had to look up what ginseng was, and apparently it's a plant. I think it to be noted that I'm an avid outdoorsman, having hunted and fished and hiked and camped, and at least 28 states of the USA for 40 plus years. I am well acquainted with big game animals including bears, mountain lions, elk, deer, and wild hogs. I stake my reputation on my word, and I kept this encounter to myself because of that. On the following Saturday morning, I took my family to fish in the lake at a spot where Highway 32 bridge crosses a fork of Blaine Creek. After the family was set up, I took off into the mountain on the southwest side of the bridge and possibly part of the Yatesville Lake to, as I said before, hunt ginseng. As I had worked my way up into a long, deep hollow, as I worked my way to the top of the ridge, to my left I heard a knocking sound, like someone striking a piece of wood against the tree. I had several rocks come flying through the trees toward me. There was a small cliff at the top of the ridge that I could see them coming from, and at first I thought they'd fell off the rock formations on their own, but then, as I happened to look back behind me from the hollow I had just came out of, I noticed on the far side of that ridge I saw a very large, dark-haired thing covered in hair, and it was watching me. I could feel its eyes upon me, and it was standing upright. It was definitely not a bear. I estimated later that it was near 8 feet tall, and as silly as it sounds, I spoke to it, and I said, "I mean no harm, and I'm only taking what I need," all the while easing my way around and down toward my family. Once I was out of eyesight, I took off down the mountain as fast as I could, and I could hear this thing following me at a distance, stalking me. Eventually I got to my family and I told my wife to get everything together and packed my family up out of the area, telling them a bear was stalking me off the mountain. I know it was not a bear, and I guess I'm only reporting this now because I just feel like it's time. This encounter stuck out to me because I almost feel like he was portraying the Bigfoot as like a guardian of the forest kind of thing. I thought it was pretty cool. Anyways though, what do you guys think? Have you had any experiences? If you would, then you can put them in the comments and maybe they'll end up in a video. It's really hard to say. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're all set up for the holidays. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate this time of year. And I'll see you in the new year with probably the Poveglia video, and I might have one in between now and then, like a shorter video. It's hard to say. Anyways, have a good night, and thank you for watching.